Monsters are an inescapable reality that we must learn to survive.
You knew these things existed.
This is your legacy.
Hi guys, nice to meet you. I hope you're enjoying Brazil. Have you ever been to Brazil before?
Nope.
No, first time.
Yeah.
And besides really warm, what are you guys thinking about it?
Good food.
And the sun comes up much earlier in the southern hemisphere at this time of year than in the northern hemisphere.
And talking about Monarch, how was the process of like being together, working? Did you know since the beginning that it was going to be like the same person?
Well, we don't know the conversations that went on to create the casting concept.
We weren't involved in the beginning.
Yeah.
They didn't write it for us. But
Okay.
Ronna Kress, who's the casting director, they were trying to cast this role, and she came up with the idea. Thanks, Ronna. But she came up with the good idea, and then it was like, okay, well, it's definitely a good idea. And then we went down the path, and ended up pretty good.
Yeah. And how was to work with your dad?
It was great. We didn't actually work together because we were never on the same set. We played the same person, but we never really worked on a movie, the same thing together. And it was cool. It was like we both worked very similarly. Obviously, I learned a lot from watching him growing up. We worked really hard and tried to make it as good as we could, and it was really fun to work.
It was interesting to read it, and we both kind of went, well, doesn't really play into the strengths of what we do, and make the character work for the entire 10 shows, make him integral to what the story is, because clearly he's going to bring these two time periods together. Wyatt and his crew in the 50s and me and mine in 2015, 2014. It was a good, hard challenge, that's for sure. But it was interesting to be able to see Wyatt put the guy on film. I was working, so it was a little scary. Like, I didn't want to make any violations of things he was creating. Mm-hmm. It was fun to go out. Early on I had a day off and went down and said, I should go down and watch what's going on. And in doing that, it became very important to me to do it again and do it again. I did it a good 5 or 6 times. It was fun to watch Wyatt work and the way the similarities and the dissimilarities about how he goes about what he does. And yet it was with the same character, so it was fun to follow it.
I can imagine, because it's really different to play a father and a son. You're playing like the same person. It's not the same thing, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
And it's a danger. You don't want to fall into playing father and son. You're the same person. So we had to be very much in cahoots on what it was we were going to do.
But did you guys talk like he's going to have like a thing with the hand, or no? Like,
no, yeah, some
things.
things I think that he looked at me more that way, because he would come to set when some days when we weren't working. I think I only went to the set, saw you guys maybe once or twice. But it was important to have it, but he didn't want to like get like too crazy with it. You know, it wasn't like, you know, I waved to everybody like that. Like, that would be weird, you know. Like, you know, okay. Too much, yeah, like, you know, getting really specific on the things that we do. But it was more in having ideas like, hey, what if there was a melding transition for you guys? And I was like, oh yeah, that'll work really cool. And then he would, you know, the shot that they were going to transition from me to him, and then he saw the footage and then goes, okay, well, let me try and match the expression so that you can really get the idea of the connective tissue, stuff like that.
But yeah, you don't want to make violations. You want to keep it consistent.
Yeah.
Kate and Kentaro.
Yes.
They are characters. They are really Japanese, because we are used to see people that are from Japan, but they are really American. But both of them are not. They are really Japanese. How was for you guys to be in a American show, but speaking in Japanese and having this so strong in your characters?
So in my case, Kate is actually Japanese American, so I kind of had to just use my accent. And usually, in the past, I've probably done all the roles that I've done required me putting on a Japanese accent, which I don't really have. And so it was so refreshing to not do that. And for me, it was like, okay, this is a new beginning, and trying to, go for those kind of roles as well, because I wasn't really categorized as that before. So it was, refreshing.
So my character is full Japanese, and I'm also full Japanese. So For me, it was important to play it authentic as possible because you want to best represent your country and people, right? That's definitely one of the things that I tried to do, so that when Japanese people look at it, they say, "Oh, this guy's actually Japanese." We can relate to him, you know.
Yeah. And can you tell me a little bit about how was the shooting of the G-Day?
Ooh, okay. That was intense. It was one of the first scenes that we did shoot, and I was a little bit sick, and so it didn't help. But I think it actually,
She was very sick,
You know
by
what?
the way.
I
She's
do-
downplaying it.
I
She's a
think-
trooper. She was sick.
I think it helped because I was just all over the place, which Kate should have been. We had the actual bus and it was rocking and they would make it rain, and then we have our first AD making Godzilla sounds. So it was like, it was a lot. Like the kids are actually there, and I had to learn how to like jump off the bus. I think the actual thing that you see, that is a stunt woman.
Okay.
It was too dangerous for me to do, and I couldn't pull it off. But we did all that stuff, so it was like a very it was an active and pretty intense day for me.
I can imagine it's really hard to Kate to live like through all the days of that day. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really traumatic.
Yeah, but I'm glad that we did it in the beginning because that kind of was the foundation for the whole story. Yeah.
And it's like in the real time, right?
Yeah.
She got the trauma and then she
Yes.
lives like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
And what was, Kirsty, what was the most difficult thing in the production for you?
The episode that just came out with the snow. That is the episode that just came out,
Episode
right?
4.
When us meeting.
Yeah.
And it's snowing, and Julian, who's amazing, our director, wanted me to keep my eyes open. And so,
Remember lying down?
yes.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
And I got a horrible eye infection.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, you
You did.
did!
You remember? Did you see the photo?
No, yeah.
I've never my eye was so messed up, and they had to then edit it, my fucked up eye out of the show. I probably used half the budget trying to get rid of my sty. It was disgusting. It was like, oh my God, it was so bad. It was all from trying to keep my eyes open with the fake.
Poor girl.
It was not good.
And Kentaro and Kate, I'm an only child too, so I kept thinking how is to be an only child, and then you're passing through a grief, and then boom, you have a boyfriend. I'm sorry, you have a brother. I'm sorry.
And now you have a boyfriend.
Oh my God, your brother is your boyfriend.
Watch out.
That's crazy.
That would be amazing, right?
Hold on.
That's another TV show.
Game of Thrones.
Truly. Kate is dealing with a grief, and then out of nowhere, she has a brother. And I think that it would be great, but I want to know from both of you how was to create this bond between them.
I think it kind of came naturally because if my dad had another family, how would I feel? So it wasn't that hard, but I think it also was nice that we didn't know each other at all when we shot that scene, and so that was really our introduction. It was like, who are you?
Yeah.
And then to get to know him as we shot and to see how Kate and Kentaro actually bond, it felt organic.
And it's really funny to watch you guys in the show because you just look so much alike. Like, I mean, I know you're brother and son, but it's impressive. Like,
Well, so it was interesting because then the whole life, it's like, he looks so much like your dad, looks so much like your dad. And then when it was actually time to come to make me look like the same person, everyone was like, oh, your nose is not really the same. Like, your chin's like a little bigger. And like, oh, you don't have a dimple on your thing. And it was like, hey, you don't look anything like your dad. So then they had to put, make me up to match him more so that you would really sell it. And like, Dennis Lidger did a great job of setting the look to make us look the same. Because we do have, we look very similar, but when you're actually trying to do the same person, it's like, okay, fuck, we gotta like make,
We
make it the same person.
did talk for a while about if I had a beard, that's shockingly so.
Right, yeah.
But
From
there was
here
no
up.
way he could be in the military. That couldn't happen. So there was, hair similarities and mostly behavioral.
Yeah.
and it's such a nice character. And how is for you now playing another military, but before it you were a superhero,
Uh
and now you are like a military. He's like more human.
huh.
How is for you this changing character?
The interesting thing about the military characters, like, 'cause I've played military characters now like 3 or 4 times, which is great. But you always want to. The thing about the military is, no matter what you're doing, if you're doing military, you have somewhat of a responsibility to do military correctly. And that can be a little bit of a struggle sometimes because not everybody on the set is carrying that burden. You are carrying that burden because you're the one that when you do something like, like throw your gun away or you don't salute correctly or whatever, that the military guys are like, that's fucking wrong. You didn't do any research. So I've always played military characters, including John Walker. He was very human. Like he is he takes super soldier serum at the end because he wants to be better, military guy. He turns into a superhero.
And Mr. Russell, you do have like a lot of amazing characters in your career. What caught your attention in Monarch?
Number one, the opportunity for Wyatt and I to play the same character. Number two, Godzilla.
Okay.
I saw Godzilla when I was 8 or 9 years old and never forgot him. And he's a this showed the opportunity to do a sort of epic thing on stream in a streaming world, and I thought that was something we wanted to be able to be a part of, do whatever we could to make it better, to increase the audience's interest in the mystery of it all, and find out about the monsters. I mean, that's you find out about them. We do a lot of that. We do more. It gives the monsters a lot more impact when they do show up, which is very different from the movies.
So were you afraid of Godzilla when you were young?
No, I always sort of felt sorry for him. He's just trying to survive, Well, we always sort of wanted to put that when we were doing the thing. It was like, this thing is really ugly and just bad, but it's just trying to survive. It's just like us trying to survive. And that's sort of what's going on with Godzilla and the Bramble Boar and the ice monster. What all these guys are there? They look bad and they don't behave the way we want them to. They're just apparently trying to make their way here, and to me that was worth examining. It's fun. We can play a good character here.
So my last question: what was the most difficult thing during the shooting?
Maintaining a consistency for me was maintaining a consistency of character that he had started, and the difficulty in creating that character in the beginning because we were not. The character was not with us in mind. We were a casting idea. That was the most. You had to keep an eye on that and create it and make sure that it was helping the story along, rather than being either unimportant or uninteresting or whatever.
Qual.
What did you eat?
We had Italian food. I mean, I can't remember the restaurant.
Meat.
Yeah, a lot of meat.
Here is great,
we
right?
ate meat.
Yeah.
We've been having some great food, Italian food.
Fasano's good.
Yeah, Fazenda.
Fazenda.
And I don't know. These are good restaurants.
Really good
great.
restaurants,
That was one of the things we were really looking forward to.
Yeah.
We've been to a couple of restaurants and it's so good. The food, I love it.